Field of 68 best show. I am Matt Cox, the host of today's program. Kai and Jim are my colleagues joining me per usual. It is a feast Thanksgiving dinner size slate today, kids. I look at the slate tomorrow. I'm breathing a sigh of relief to finally get a day off. But today we get into the gauntlet. We're going to try and carve out as much time for the chat mob questions, get into all the MTE inquiries you might have. Want to know what Kai and Jim learned from last night, other than the fact that Gonzaga is the best team we've seen this season by a mile. But before we do that, make sure to subscribe. Hit that like button right now. I know you're sitting at your computer or whatever device you're watching. Just go ahead. It takes 2 seconds, and we all appreciate that. I'm going to Jim first. Out there on the West Coast, live in the flesh for plenty of action yesterday. What did you learn?
Hey, first, shout out BetRivers, presented by BetRivers here, Matthew. Come on,
excuse me. How dare me shun the sponsors?
Just
gosh,
man, the shade you're throwing. Matt, I learned here that Wisconsin is good. Wisconsin's good again. I mean, the defense is outstanding. They held Houston to 20 points in the first half. Had to hang on a little bit in the second half, but they made enough plays, which I think was kind of impressive for a young team outside of Brad Davison. And Johnny Davis is a star. I sat there thinking about it for a while. He's the best NBA prospect in the Maui field, I think. Sorry to Houston and Marcus Sasser, and sorry to Oregon, but Johnny Davis can play. He had 30. He made some massive plays down the stretch, had a big steal. Wisconsin's not going anywhere, folks. It might be top half Big Ten tournament team once again, Kai.
Yeah, man. Wisconsin. I like Chucky Hepburn too, Jim. He's a star.
He's a little tank engine too.
I like him.
Yeah.
Freshman, 5 games under the belt. He's starting.
He takes really like player. Pull-up transition threes. It's like, you're on Wisconsin. Yeah. You don't do that. What are you doing?
Bo Ryan would have had none of that. Zero of that.
Matt, I do want to talk about Gonzaga really quick.
No, please.
Because I still think, and I said this preseason, they're an octave above the next best team in the country.
Wow.
They're literally that good. I don't know how you can deny it anymore. UCLA, Texas, just blowing out. I guess we'll see against Duke. Your Duke Blue Devils, Matt, will be the test. Another test. They've passed so many tests.
I saw that Jared Burson tweeted that if they beat Duke by double digits, it'll be the first time anyone's beaten 3 top 5 teams by double digits in the same month ever. So that would be relatively impressive from the Zags.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kai, I think Duke could give them a run for their money just because they have the physicality up front. But man, that was a
pish posh.
That was a demolition yesterday. Hey, I just want to make sure we don't gloss over Gonzaga's conference. I think people are going to forget about them once they finish these, high profile MTE showdowns, but the WCC is all the way legit. Jim, you were there for the St. Mary's.
Yep.
I don't know what you'd call that. It's not really a Virginia crockpot type of performance, but they put Oregon in the sleeper hold to some degree.
I'm going to call it surgery, Matt.
Surgery. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds painful. I don't know if I want to cozy up to that, but yeah, it was painful for
it was very for
the Oregon.
Yes.
And I think we sort of foresaw that just because of the 2 different states of maturity those teams are at right now. I don't know if there's props up on many books for like Gonzaga going undefeated in conference or conference win totals, but I think the narrative that's going to start to permeate is, will Gonzaga run the table? If they can get by Duke. I just want to say tread lightly before putting all your money in the WCC undefeated basket. I think St. Mary's, Santa Clara, San Francisco, and even San Diego are way better than people think.
BYU team too, man.
And BYU, who is without their starting center, Richard Harward, when he comes back, they're going to be a different animal. And of course, Portland. No, they're not going to be Gonzaga, but they did get it done for the boys last night. Thank you, pilots. Appreciate that fine work you did. All right, let's get into it. Ohio State, Florida. We're going to start off with a Fort Myers MTE showdown here. Most of the other ones will be Atlantis. We'll get to the Maui questions within the chat mob as well, and then a few other MTEs are kicking off around the country. But Jim, going to you here first. The Buckeyes, the Gators. To me, the story is Florida's defense. What we've seen them do on that side of the ball has been terrifying. Colin Castleton has emerged as one of the best rim protectors in college basketball. All these up transfers that we sort of questioned the talent pedigree, they're all dogged defenders. And I think Ohio State has a lot of trouble scoring in this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the second straight game where Ohio State's playing a team that I want like a litmus test on. With Seton Hall, it was like, all right, are they going to be consistent after the Michigan win? The defense wasn't as good as it needed to be. Matt, are you drinking 9 gallons of water?
Jim, whenever I'm on vacation, water consumption completely plummets. So I take no chances.
All right.
Zero chances.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Florida's defense has been incredible. They were great at home against Florida State. Are they going to be able to do the same thing against a high-level opponent in Ohio State here? Kai, I think they have matchups for EJ Liddell. Daruji and CJ Felder are pretty solid physical archetypes to guard him. And unless Kyle Young makes a couple threes, Castleton's always going to be at the rim lurking as a shot blocker, as a rim protector. So I'm a little nervous for Ohio State. I think this Florida team is really legit, but we might have some shot selection questions. I want to make sure the offensive kinks are ironed out here because I'm a little concerned there. I did make Florida a slight favorite, so I agree with where the line is, but this is definitely is Florida legit game for me.
Yeah, and if Justice Sueing was in the lineup, I'd probably make Ohio State a favorite. He's huge in this game because Florida's defense is elite. They're 13th in KenPom overall, Florida right now, and man, they look to be one of the best teams in the country. Elon was their closest game, which is a 13-point margin. They've since just blown everyone out, including Florida State. You got to stop Caston, Matt, if you're Ohio State, and I think they can. Brunk, Young, Key, that's a pretty good answer. But as Jim said, DeRougie is like the perfect stopper for EJ Liddell. Now, stopping is in quotes in a relative term. I don't know if you can stop EJ Liddell, but I think you can slow him down with DeRougie. Florida probably on a lean here, Jim, but Matt, I think it's going to be a struggle. I think it's going to be an underplay for me. Is the way I'm leaning here in this game.
Yeah, open at 139.5, got bet down to 137.5. So some people are picking up what you're putting down. You're right. The Justice Sueing thing's huge. We saw Michi Johnson, the freshman, have some nice moments. Jimmy Soto's have some nice moments, but those are fringe fillers. Sueing is really a key perimeter piece, and I can't back Ohio State in good faith without him. If he was healthy, I think I'd be looking at Buckeyes play here at the current number of +2. But you mentioned the impact, and so for that reason, I am going to be a fence rider for our first game of the day.
Yeah, I don't think the number would be where it is.
Right. I think the odds makers would properly adjust.
Matt, actually, I'm going to step in, and there's a game in 23 minutes that I think we should talk about now, just because it's going to be tight when we get to the first chat mob window. So Pete and a couple other people asking about Vermont and App State. Vermont has been a little disappointing in this tournament. Is that fair to say? And App State got the win against Akron yesterday in a really low scoring game. Two coaches we are big fans of, Kai. Do you have any take on this one?
No, not really. The Vermont game yesterday can't tell if Evansville's like just going to be a scrappy dog all season. Maybe they will, but still 58 points for Vermont was a disappointment to me. Yeah. I do think Ryan Davis can have a good game against App State, but App State's a well-coached team. Dustin Kearns obviously made that run in the Sun Belt Finals last year. Not a team I'm looking to fade necessarily, especially as a fairly large dog at 5.5. If I had to choose a side, I'm leaning towards App State, but I got nothing strong at this game.
I like App State. I wouldn't say really strong, but pretty solidly. I think this team's pretty legit. They've had some good moments this season. Vermont, Jim, you mentioned it, looked a little bit vulnerable. And I think the Evansville thing is weird. Evansville's going to be a team that's high variance all year because of the way they play slow and they shoot a lot of threes. So it's tough to make sense of teams that play well or not well against them. But I think 5's too many on a neutral. That should be a really, really low scoring game.
Yep. All right, Matt, I'll let you get back to the outline here. I just wanted to jump in with that one with the
good call. Tip. Yeah, there's any other early tips, do chime in. We'll try and get those before they tip, obviously. We're going to hit the 3 Atlantis games coming up here. One's already underway, Loyola, Michigan State.
Oh, Matt, I'm sorry. There is another one at 10:30 that has been asked about.
Let's do it.
Southern Utah, Bowling Green. Saw Southern Utah come from behind yesterday against Yale in a shocker. Yale with some of the worst fouls known to man, hacking 3-point shooters late in the game. Do not do that. But Bowling Green got Caden Matheny back. Their playmaking point guard. They had a nice little performance. I kind of lean towards Bowling Green here, guys. I think this is closer to like a coin flip pick'em type game. So I'm expecting the Falcons to play well here. Matt, do you agree? Seems like you were nodding.
I do. I kind of like the over. I think Bowling Green, we saw them play really fast the last 2 seasons, or maybe it was last year. I'm running those 2 years together, but now they have their full backcourt intact. I think you see a little more of up and down, helter-skelter type of style. And Southern Utah, Kai, as we know, will welcome that with open arms.
Yeah, I lean towards Bowling Green. I mean, they're pathetic without Matheny in the lineup. With him back, they're a different team, as you saw yesterday. So I do lean towards them. It was really funny on the Yale basketball Twitter. There's a lot of comments on point shaving because Yale's fouls were so bad against Southern Utah. Like into the game, fouling a 3-point shooter, Jim, and you were on that game, and I hate to bring back memories.
They did it 3 times in the game, including end of regulation, end of overtime. Yeah.
So I am leaning towards Bowling Green that aside, Jim.
Those smart kids know how to point shave.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm confused. Would an Ivy school be more likely or less likely to point shave? You think they'd do it smart if they did do it, but then be smart enough to maybe not do it in the first place? I don't know where that stands. I love a good point shaving speculation scandal. We're still trying to investigate. Was it Mount St. Mary's Navy last year or 2 years ago?
2 years
that one's
ago.
still under review from the
stuck
SEC.
in our craw, folks. If you can't tell, this extra game from 2 years ago is still coming up.
There's
But
gonna
all
be
right, Matt, back to the outline. Yep.
All right, Atlantis, we go to the weird auditorium with multicolor lighting that still gives me epilepsy every time I watch it. Kai, Auburn, UConn, we'll start off here. We don't really know anything about UConn other than they look really good against cupcake teams. Demolition derby against their opening 4 opponents. Auburn walked through their last game at South Florida. It was a tricky spot, so I give them a slight pass. What do you make of this matchup?
Gosh, I don't know if giving them a little pass. That was concerning. Almost lost outright. I really liked their game against Moorhead. They took care of business against them. But yeah, UConn, we don't know yet, Matt. They haven't played a top 275 team yet. Auburn clearly is one of those. They are rock solid with the ball. Auburn, UConn's had a lot of success turning over the bad teams right now. Auburn, I don't think you're going to do that. They have 2 or 3 ball handlers on the floor at all times. UConn might have the slight interior advantage, Jim, with some strength, but it's hard to think Kessler and Smith aren't the more talented front court. So it feels like 2 evenly matched teams, which means I'm leaning towards the dog in Auburn. 3.5 was a no-brainer for me. At 2.5, I'm more so probably just staying away and leaning towards Auburn.
Yeah, I'm salivating for the brawl in the paint here. The Kessler Smith versus Whaley Snogo, a Cook who looks healthy. A Cook has looked much better.
Yes,
that's going to be fantastic. But it probably does come down to ball handling, like you said, Kai. If UConn gets out in transition, that really juices their offense because in half court it's not so great. Still looking for answers there without Book Night, and this is their first real test against a team that can truly defend them. So I'm with you. Feels like a coin flip. Auburn at 3 was great. But I want that field goal. I don't want the 2.5 scares me. So tread lightly if you want to bet this one.
Yeah, I just think UConn kind of scares me. I know their defense has been basically shown against JV caliber opponents, but it was completely dominant in all 4 of those games. I don't think it's going to look that good against Auburn, but I think it's looked pretty damn stout. I do not want to fade UConn until I see them against a legit team. So today is a great watch and learn opportunity to maybe bet on or fade UConn throughout the rest of the tournament. Let's keep cruising down to the next game in the Atlantis MTE tournament, invitational, whatever you want to call it. So what's the battle for is this the Bad Boy Mowers sponsoring that thing?
The Mowers are revved, Matt. And
I hope they have a lifetime contract. It's a phenomenal pairing of sponsor and venue. Syracuse VCU, Jim, 2 teams, stylistic extremes. Q's coming off a brutal, not brutal. Colgate's really good this year, but a sour home loss to the Raiders, and VCU basically playing down a few key guys have just basically leaned all the way into we're going to guard and defend you and just manufacture, scrap and claw for enough points on the offensive end and hope we come out on top. This seems like I have no idea what to make of how you take the, very stoppable force that is VCU's offense against Syracuse's sort of downy, soft, weird zone defense. Like, does that mean VCU scores points here? I don't know. What are you seeing here?
I'm not sure I'm not sure VCU has the shooting to really open up the zone, but like their whole plan with the shorthanded roster they have is just turn every game into a bar fest. Like struggle to reach 100, struggle to reach 115 points. It's shocking to see a Syracuse total in the 130s because they want to run, they want to shoot, and they can shoot. They're one of the best shooting teams in the entire country. But VCU has athletes. They can press up on them, make them uncomfortable on the perimeter. I feel like this one could be kind of ugly, but the total is low enough that I'm not interested in betting a Syracuse under here. Kai, the spread felt a little big to me, so I lean towards VCU, but it was a very much a hold your nose type of thing because I think they're going to struggle to score too.
Yeah, it was classic matchup versus number for me. Matchup, I think Syracuse is the pick, but number 6.5 for the opener, that was VCU. Down to 5, probably staying away now. All 4 of VCU's games have gone under, average of 6.7 points per game. That's a ton, especially if you consider how low these totals have been. You guys said they can't shoot. 313th in 3-point percentage, 26%. And I don't think that's an oddity. I think that's who they are. They literally cannot shoot. So they have to make this a fight, have to make it a scrap. They have to keep the possession count low, Matt, and they can't let Syracuse shoot. It's the 8th best 3-point shooting team versus the 6th best 3-point shooting percentage defense.
Yep.
Very, very immovable force, unstoppable object right there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And VCU is one of those teams akin to Virginia, Houston years past, where we look at that low 3-point percentage opposing defense, and we don't say that's fluky. That's legitimately a byproduct of how well they get out and defend on the perimeter. So I think that's sustainable. This total's been bet down from 133 to 130. You look at the last, it's so game. Low. I did some data digging, kids, the last 4 years, 2016 through 2020. Unders have been really strong at the battle for Atlantis, 33 and 25 to the under, going under the closing by an average of 3 points a game. And I'm sitting here looking over my shoulder and watching Loyola and Michigan State just
throw rocks at each other.
Yeah. And I'm sitting on the over and thinking, what am I doing? So a lot of trends playing toward under. I know the early markets got some of that value, but I incline to think there's a little bit left. Even with the current price there. All right. Final game here for the Atlantis opening round action. We're talking Baylor, Arizona State. Big number, depending on what you think of both these two schools. But I think we're all sort of in, oh boy, Baylor could be the freight train we saw last season. Yeah. Arizona State's been up and down, but Kai, I think a lot of that is injury related, and we're pretty close to seeing the best version of this Arizona State team with all hands on deck. Nope. Jim disagrees.
Sure.
Bagley didn't even travel with him.
Yeah, that's
my point is exactly. So he's not back today, but I think soon down the road we're going to see a very good version of Arizona State today. My point is, do we see that version today without Bagley? I'm thinking no.
No, I'd put Arizona State in your pocket because I agree. When they're healthy, they're going to be really good. I think they're going to surprise people, but not without Marcus Bagley. That's a problem on both ends of the floor, especially against Baylor. I feel like star players being out is just it especially matters against a really, really good team. And that's Baylor. They are top 5 good this year. Baylor is going to just control everything in this game, the boards, the paint. Arizona State's not going to score easily. They're not going to stop them. I think Baylor's going to win by 20. It's my best bet. Baylor minus 12. That's right. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched them a little bit against Stanford and Nichols and a little against Central Arkansas, and they're just swarming. Like, I'm not going to say they're better defensively than last year, but they are more versatile. Like, it kind of indisputably with Kendall Brown and Jeremy Sohan, like guys that can switch, a little more size on the wing, more length. They were kind of like 3 guards plus Vital last year. So
yeah,
they're lethal defensively, and I think they're still pretty awesome offensively. Flagler's status, I think, is in question, but he's probably going to play. They have plenty of weapons outside of him. I've been really, really impressed with them. That Stanford game was the first, like, oh, they're going to beat a Pac-12 team by 40. Like, okay, they're incredible. So I definitely lean your way, Kai. I don't want to touch Arizona State without Bagley here.
Yeah, it sounded like the Flagler thing was a precautionary sit out last game. So I'm, I guess, cautiously optimistic he does play today. But Jim, you mentioned they got plenty of weapons. Who the hell knows there? I am staying away from this one. I want to talk chat mob inquiries, Jim. What do you got?
Well, we have an inquiry from Dom the Don about
the
Houston,
Dominator.
Oregon. I'm going to table that one to be second before we got to get to Maui title game.
Yep.
St. Mary's, Wisconsin. I know that people are probably not dying to watch this total below 120. And even Randy Bennett yesterday joked about how gross it was going to be, but got to mention it because it's not on our outline. I just was so impressed by Wisconsin yesterday. I think they do exactly what St. Mary's does, but they have the best player on the floor in Davis. That means something in a big title game like this, low scoring, who's going to make the big play down the stretch. So I have a slight lean towards Wisconsin from a gut sense, but matchup wise, they're kind of like very, very similar teams, and number is spot on for me, Kai.
They execute like crazy, both teams.
Yep.
It's going to be a hard fought match. Jim, it's up to Wisconsin minus 2.5. That's on the border of a St. Mary's bet for me.
If that gets to 3,
it is for me.
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's might be better. I just think they might be better than Wisconsin. So I'm leaning towards St. Mary's here. And Matt, I think there might even still be value on the under. I'm not going to take it at 118.5, but like this is going to be in the 50s, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at St. Mary's pace. They actually haven't played as slow as we've seen in years past. It's all relative. They're definitely one of the slower teams in the country. They're not crawling like Virginia slow. And I think the shot making is too good on both sides. So the under doesn't appeal to me as much as St. Mary's does. I think I'm going to probably hop in and take the Gales against the early market here. Jim, you saw this game closer yesterday. I was out dinner with my family on the lovely Maui island, and the beach is gorgeous, by the way. Logan Johnson. Logan Johnson is a key defensive stopper that I think can neutralize Davis. Do you agree with that sentiment? I think it's a key matchup potentially here.
I think he's a little small for that matchup. Okay. That concerns me. I think Davis can shoot over the top. Davis got open a bunch early against Houston, which was surprising. Like Houston doesn't give up uncontested threes, but he got multiple uncontested threes via their ball movement, doubling the post. So I'm a little concerned about that. Johnson's really disruptive, but I don't know if he's like lockdown 1v1 type of guy.
Okay, fair. Still, I like the Gales. Jim, what else are the people asking about?
Well, we got to hit Houston, Oregon, the third place game starting in about 40 minutes here. Another rock fight. I mean, that's like most of the teams in this Maui field, slower, more defensive leaning. I gut lean was towards Houston, but my number liked Oregon. Houston just is closer to a finished product right now. Oregon has a lot of questions about what they are offensively, how they create shots. I think I was definitely too high on them in the preseason. I can openly say that. Kai, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, another game I'm leaning under. I don't think Houston's defense gets shredded, quote unquote, as did against Wisconsin. Wisconsin scored just over a point per possession. That's shredded in Houston's terms. I don't think Oregon can do that. And Oregon scored like 0.794 points per possession in the previous game against St. Mary's. That's concerning. They're going to have trouble scoring here. Matt, Quincy Guerrier is like invisible. He had 2 points. He was 1 for 3 from the floor.
He's still hurt, maybe. I'm not sure.
ACC guy last year. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he is. At the opener, I leaned Oregon. It's now 4.5 at BetRivers. That's a very much stay away from me on the Ducks. Leading towards Houston almost now at that number.
Yeah, if you're able to catch 5 or higher, then I think Oregon probably has a smidge of value. But Jim, you guys mentioned it. Just a team trending in the wrong direction right now. I think Wisconsin exposed Houston's defense in terms of if you're going to score against Houston's defense, you need to really execute and have some type of design action to get open shots. You're not going to get shots against Houston just from like one-on-one playmaking, slashing, individual creation, which to me, it seems like that's what Oregon's relying on. I don't think that's going to work against Houston here. So I would.
Tyler Wall threw a couple in yesterday in the second half when Houston was making a run that were like one-on-one type stuff that I'd probably call them slop, but they went in. Yeah. So that matters.
So nothing here for me. Is that all so that concludes Maui questions, Jim? Any other MT?
Tons of chat questions. I'll hit like 3 or 4 more and then we'll save the rest for later. We'll go quick hitter style, as Kai likes to put it. So we don't need to pass the ball around. Kai, Western Illinois at Eastern Michigan, a couple directional schools up there.
Yeah. Eastern Michigan at the opener at -2.5, BetRivers staying away. Rob Jeter, guys, has a team at WIU. They've been pretty good this year. I've been on Eastern Michigan almost every game. I just think they're a little bit undervalued. And Stan Heath is a good coach. They've covered a few. They blew a cover against Michigan State. That was tough. But I would caution against taking them at -2.5 against Western Illinois.
Yeah, Western Illinois has been awesome. They got down 13 at half to Northern Kentucky and then came right back and won that game outright. Matt, Austin Claunch, a past guest of the 3 Man Week podcast.
Yes, sir.
Nicholls State and Utah Valley out in the SoCal Showdown, I believe is the name of the MTE. What do you think? I
like Nicholls. Utah Valley just beat Idaho by 1 million. And that means nothing to me because Idaho is downy soft inside. Nicholls is a different animal. I like Nicholls here, Jim.
Yeah, they got a battle with AMAC, but I think they have enough bodies. Lyons is a big dude. Hopefully he just doesn't get in foul trouble right away. All right, Kai. I know this team kind of peeved you off last time they played, but Pittsburgh is hosting Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
they're a home dog to Vandy. That is kind of a rare feat at this point for a power conference team. Can they battle?
This game sucks. Don't watch this game. I'm leaning towards Vanderbilt because I think Pitt is that bad, and they might be the worst Power 6 team in the country. It keeps kind of flipping in my head, but they seem worse than Georgia to me.
Yeah, this is my line in the sand game with Pitt. If they can't take down, like Vandy is shorthanded. They're missing 2 of their best 4 players, arguably with Robbins and Chapman. So if they lay an egg, then I'm tanking Pitt hard. All right, next, Matt, Seton Hall and Cal. This is the other matchup in the Fort Myers tip-off. Seton Hall, big favorite, up to like 12.5. Can they suffocate Cal here coming off the loss for both of them?
Yeah, like no question. I don't know if I'm greedy enough to lay the 12, but I don't see how Cal scores. Yeah, I think under is the right play here, which is I think been bet down a little bit. No, actually, it's open to 130.5. It stayed right around there. So it opened low and it stays low. Again, we said the low totals have been playing well this season in this friendly underscoring environment. So if you like the under, go ahead and take it.
Yep. All right, let's save the rest for later. Actually, one more from Howie Ree, because he wants to know if he's going to have to sell his kids if Harvard does not cover against Colgate. Matt, your Colgate Raiders, can Harvard get it done +3-ish, +4 home dog against Colgate?
I took Harvard. I hate going against my Raiders, but I did take the Crimson.
I took them small. I think it's also going to be a shootout. Like, there's not a lot of big guys on the floor in this game. Harvard's are all hurt. Colgate's just a bunch of shooters mostly. They have a couple big guys, but yep, I'm with you. I hope you don't have to sell your kids, Howie.
Yeah, please don't do that.
All right, Matt, back to the outline.
All right, back to the structure we go. We're gonna hit one of those SoCal, or what's the bet? The Suncoast, not the Suncoast.
I think it's SoCal Showdown.
But it's in it's way south of LA. We actually had the maps up yesterday trying to find out where the hell this game was.
It's at a high school, like a Catholic high school south of LA. Like,
we couldn't have gotten a better venue for this. Okay. Anyway, the two teams playing at this venue, which we question why it's happening there or where it is: Fresno State, Santa Clara. One team, Jim, that's looked immaculate. Another team that, at least for me, has been one of the more frustrating conundrums in my betting portfolio the last 2 or 3 years. I stubbornly defend Justin Hudson at Fresno State. His team has continued to look discombobulated on offense, and it's maddening why he sat Orlando Robinson for 6 minutes down the stretch in a tie game against Pepperdine was baffling.
Well, he did fall out immediately after coming back in.
That's true. The refs were like, it was their show. We were all there to watch the Zebras, one of those frustrating college games that, no one likes to watch. But Jim, Santa Clara is a story. How good have they been? Do they can keep it rolling here today, or is this a time to sell high?
I'm not selling high. This is kind of high praise, but this feels like this year's Drake to me, where they just go on a mega cover streak, and we just keep over and over like, this is the spot to fade them. This is the spot to fade them. And I'm not doing it. I'm not getting in the way of Santa Clara here. Fresno State's guards were frustrating enough that I just can't really trust them right now. So Kai, I did bet Santa Clara small around the opener. Yep. And I just want to see them not be incredible for a game, even without Vrancic, before I get in the way.
Yeah, Joseph Brankish, their best player, hasn't played the last couple of games, and they're still killing
mono.
Yeah, they're 4-0-1 against the spread. Their average cover margin is over 3 points per game. They are just killing people. My number doesn't like Santa Clara, but my gut does, and I do have them small, Jim, as well. Close to the opener, they're -6 right now. Probably just stay away at that price. Fresno's last 2 games: Idaho by 7, Pepperdine by 7. That's yikes. Pepperdine also had a second half lead, Matt. So I like Santa Clara here. Fresno's got size, but I think Santa Clara is too much.
Yeah, Pepperdine made some insane shots, but I've been doing that all year and sort of hanging around in games where you feel like they should be down 10-20. Jim, you mentioned the Drake comparison. I kind of thought South Dakota State yesterday was sort of my version of last year's Drake, and then sure enough, I jinxed them horribly as they lost a semi-home game to Washington. So tough. Sorry, Jack Bunnies, for doing that to you. Yeah, I agree. I think -6 is a little too rich for me. At least, sorry for me. I think it's too rich. I know you guys are more pro Santa Clara guys than I am. I'm staying away. Here's, for those of you watching, this is like the last tip of the night. So if you're down big looking to chase, just kind of save this one. Put this in the back burner and maybe chase with the Broncos late. We always endorse such healthy gambling degenerate habits around this program.
Always chase, I'm at.
Always chasing. Yep. Value's not important. Chasing's good. Bad close. Yeah, all that good stuff. All right, we're headed to the opposite side of the country. Brooklyn, the Barclays Center, final 2 for MTE on our outline. First game won't be as pretty as the second game, but it's still, of noteworthy. 2 prominent programs, Xavier versus Iowa State. Xavier's been pretty impressive despite being without Zach Freeman till early on, Jim. The line opened to -8 and bet up to -9. Clearly some continued disrespect for Iowa State, and there's no reason to really get excited about Iowa State right now. Is this number too high, or is there value even on the X at the current number?
I think it's a little too high. And I say that having watched Xavier play like basically a perfect game against a pretty solid Norfolk State team. Like, they were just incredible offensively, defensively. Yeah. It was staggering to watch them play that well. I was like, oh, this Travis Steele's capable of this. The roster is capable of this. Okay, good to know, because now the expectations are there. Like, if they're not going to play that well consistently, then that's going to be frustrating. Without Fremantle, I still want to see them do it against a high major opponent. Iowa State's not a great roster, Kai, but I think there's enough to be scrappy and hang around and keep it within single digits.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Nungy really stepped up against Ohio State.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
And Deontay Miles has been good defensively. Like kudos to them. They've really done well last 2 games after looking pretty shaky the opening 2. Matt, Iowa State's 4-0. That's 2 more games than they won last season, all of last season. So I guess also Otzelberger is doing a pretty good job with the program, quote unquote, relative term there. Xavier's clearly better, but I think Iowa State can hang around. +9's a lot. Tyrese Hunter has been awesome. He has a 40+ assist rate, 17.6% turnover rate. That's pretty good. I think there's enough talent here to stay within double digits, Matt. But Xavier's clearly the better team currently.
Right. I mean, preseason, we said Iowa State's season sort of hinges on Tyrese Hunter. Like the supporting pieces around them are fine, but the big blank spaces at point guard, he's looked really good. The pedigree sort of confirms that he can sustain that. Trey Jackson's been pretty solid off the ball next to him. Yeah, I think Iowa State's, we've seen Minnesota be disrespected, not taken seriously, and they've been feisty. I think Iowa State is sort of in that same boat where you can't look at them with the same stink as last season. You know what I mean? So I think they have value because of this perception that they're in a rebuild first year, reclamation project stage. But they got some experience. Gabe Kalsher, Isaiah Brockington, these are legit Big Ten players, not awesome players, but proven Big Ten players that can play in a power conference league. So I do like Iowa State here at the current price. Last game here should be a doozy. Memphis, Virginia Tech. Man, a lot of matchup angles to break down here, Jim. I have no idea where to start. It's talent versus pristine execution, although both squads have a little bit of both elements this season from what I've seen. The number opened at -1.5 Memphis. It's been bet up to 2.5, 3. So people are buying in to this Memphis wagon as a potential top 10, top 5 caliber team. Are you on that boat?
Not quite all the way up there. I'm staying away from a side. I made this pretty close to what it is. I have a slight lean to the under. I think Virginia Tech really tries to control the tempo, and I trust them to do that. I think Storm Murphy has seen a lot of big athletic teams in his career, even though he was at Wofford for most of it. I trust him. I trust the way that Mike Young coaches. A little scared of the athleticism, though, Kai. So, yeah, like I said, no side. But I think under could at least have a little bit of value as long as Virginia Tech doesn't just turn the ball over repeatedly and fuel the Tiger offense with turnovers.
Yeah, 3 right now at BetRivers. 3.5 would make me interested in Virginia Tech a little bit. Matt, pace battle, as you said. Virginia Tech, 351st in defensive average possession length. So like 6 or 7 slowest in the country. Memphis, 7th in offensive average possession length. It's literally the opposites these two teams want to do.
And where's the total? Right on 140. That's what we say is the shrug number.
The shrug number. Yeah. My money's on Mike Young as well, Matt, to control the pace. I think he does. But as Jim said, there's too much athleticism for Memphis here. That scares me. KV Aluma has his work cut out for him. He's very, very good. But that's a lot Memphis can throw at him. So I'm with Jim. I actually lean towards the under.
I agree. I think under is the right play here if you're looking for action. I am tempted to take VOD Tech against the early money. It opened 1.5. It's been bet up to, you guys bet 2.5, 3, 3.5, depending on where you look. Man, I worry about the athleticism disparity and that can potentially thwart Virginia Tech's edge in terms of their cohesion and execution on offense and the versatility they have. I mean, DeAndre Williams, they have multiple guys who can guard Aluma and Mutz, who I think their bread and butter is their sort of mismatch versatility against more plotting forwards. You don't have that against Memphis. They're just all quick and athletic and nimble on the perimeter. Virginia Tech 5-0 against the spread this year, covering by a whopping 8 points a game. They are a rocket ship. I know Memphis is a different beast, but if you're looking at Memphis, I guess some of the early sharps are apparently. I'm sort of worried about you, honestly. So I would tread lightly if you're going to back that side. Any other takes here? This is kind of one of my favorite games of the night. Actually, I'm excited to watch this one.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Jim, what are the chat mobbers looking at tonight that we missed so far?
Well, first of all, we were at 41 likes on the video, and for 50 likes, Matt, you were dancing in a grass skirt. So
I thought it's 100. Did we lower the threshold randomly?
We lowered the threshold because you were late to the Zoom, per our overlord producer behind the scenes.
Okay, everyone, don't like the video. I'm kidding. Like the video. Please like the video. BetRivers is awesome too, by the way. I apologize for forgetting to mention the sponsor.
Yeah, what a jerk.
I got to see you in a grass skirt. I really do.
Yep.
I need this.
All right, we'll start here with Cal Baptist at Texas. I've struggled to find a side here. Taron Armstrong is incredible, the Australian freshman for Cal Baptist, younger brother of Trey Armstrong. He's been great. I kind of like the over. I think there's going to be a ton of points. Texas, I think we'll run with Cal Baptist because that's what they want to do. So I see a lot of scoring here, Matt. Not really sure about the side, but what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Texas is weird right now without a fully operational Dylan Disu. It's a lot of wings, versatile forwards, and Cal Baptist has that same MO with their versatility at the wing and forward position too. I think both teams can score on each other pretty easily. Chris Beard's defense is in no way a finished product. So I think early on they have some overvalue with the way they want to play up and down.
All right, Kai, this is Matt's pet team, but I'm kicking it to you. It's got to balance the floor. Oakland and Delaware today. Oakland they just keep winning. All they do is win. All they do is cover. It's not always pretty, but they get it done. They're last in the country in bench minutes, dead last. Their top 3 players never leave the court. Now they're playing the 3rd game in 3 days. Is that a concern against Delaware?
Yeah, I think so. And historically, Delaware hasn't had a deep bench. This year, it's a little deeper though. They finally have some depth. Inglesby does. At a dog, man, I don't know if Oakland's better than Delaware. At +2 right now for Delaware. I'm leaning towards the Hens. I think these teams are pretty equal. And I might think Delaware's a little bit better, but Oakland's been playing extremely well early in the season. I'm a little bit scared of them, Jim. I'm scared to fade them.
All right, Matt.
As you should be.
Yeah.
As you should be. I lean on
Matt, we did hit 50 likes, so get to work on procuring a grass skirt.
A grass skirt. Okay, write that down to my to-do list. Thanks, guys. Thanks for liking the show. I appreciate your support.
And the next one, Kyle, I'll kick this to you. Northern Arizona as a dog. What do you think about the Lumberjacks? Can they get it done here? I believe they're playing UTSA. Is that right?
Fullerton.
Okay, good. I'm glad you know because you're going to talk about the game.
In this game, this spread's actually come down. I'm a little bit surprised. It's now 3.5.
Ooh.
I had a gut on Fullerton. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think they're a really good team. They lost yesterday to Rio Grande. I think it was kind of a fluke. Northern Arizona's scrappy. I like their coach, Shane Burkar. But Fullerton is a really, really good team this year. I'm high on them. I think that they're going to get it done today.
Shooting aggression should help Fullerton. They're 313th in 3-point percentage. Opponents are making 40% of their threes. You expect that to correct a little bit. Yeah, Kai, I may punch back with you here. 3.5 might step in on Fullerton. I believe that's. Go ahead.
Just add a note on that. NAU has an extra day off here in the schedule. So Fullerton playing back-to-back NAU had the day off yesterday, even though it is at their home venue. And Fullerton's been there. I think you have to give a slight advantage to NAU for just that spot factor. Just want to mention that. Sorry.
Yep. I buy that. All right, Matt, last one that I saw pop up here. Southern Miss headed to UNC Wilmington. I got to be honest. I was high on the Seahawks coming in. They have frustrated me. Not being able to blow out Delaware State, a team that got blown out by D3 Salisbury, was really alarming. So I have knocked Wilmington since, which is keeping me off of this game. What do you think?
Kai, you right?
Matt, I was directed.
Oh, you say Kai.
No.
I have no.
Oh, is he faking the internet thing?
Yeah, he's definitely faking it. I didn't see that I got 50 likes.
Am I not on the show? Am I off?
No, you're on. Matt,
Am I good?
We see it, buddy. Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever. Wilmington or Southern Miss?
Southern Miss.
All right.
Yep, that's my lean as well. All right, hey, let's wrap this up before Matt has to, fully fake a complete calamity on the island. I know he wants to get out of here. Let's get to best bets, Matt. I guess I'll lead it off because I'm first on the outline. I'm going with Mercer -4.5 against Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee drives me bananas because they've been better this year than I thought they would be. A little feistier, but I think Mercer is really well coached. It's a quick turnaround for both teams. I trust Mercer in that scenario more. I'm going with the Bears, Kai.
Well, reminder, Jim, I'm also on the Bears, but I'm on the Baylor Bears -12. That's my best bet. I think they're going to kill the Sun Devils today. Matthew.
Am I back? Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I had an internet notification. Okay, good.
Okay.
Yes, but I wouldn't have minded that continuing to sort of duck out of my grass skirt obligation. I'm going extra board for my best bet. Fairleigh Dickinson. I believe it's still 6. Cross my fingers that it's still sitting at that number. A Garden 6. Thank you, BetRivers. That's a lovely line. Hop on that now, folks. Garden State Showdown. I think these two teams are equals, sort of akin to my Portland State cap yesterday. It's two teams that are not far apart. I think they're just equal in caliber. So why the numbers sitting upwards to close to a touchdown makes no sense to me. I like the Fighting Fairleigh Dickinson, especially off that very impressive effort against the St. Johnnies.
Yep. I'm with you, Matt. I think that number's a little too high. I think are you just seeking out these like mid-range dogs so you can be
like
Matty
6
money
to
lines?
7. Yes, they'll become my wheelhouse the rest of the year. So that's where I'll stay until it debunks me.
All right, Matt, before you close it out, Kai, Nevada, Washington. What do you think?
I'm leaning towards Nevada, Jim. Washington's been a lot better last 2 games, but I still think it's kind of a fluke. AJ Brahma out of the locker room equals good thing.
Addition by subtraction for sure.
Yep, I flip-flop there. There you go.
All right, Maddie, take us home. You can go hang out on the island.
I will. I'm supposed to go watch some whales today, so we'll see if hopefully I return alive. I'm a little worried that these massive creatures are going to knock us overboard and capsize. And
you are the whale,
two-man show.
You are the whale.
That's true. It's got kind of a very fitting activity given our presence in the betting markets. Anyway, we're off tomorrow, folks. Just note that for your schedule. And we are back Friday at the same time. I will not be in attendance, though. I will be traveling back to the mainland, but I will be returning to the flesh on, I believe, when's our next show? Sunday. So you'll see Kai and Jim's beautiful faces on Friday, and you will see all 3 of us on Sunday. That one will be a little earlier per our usual weekend schedule. We'll tweet it all out. Make sure you're aware of it. But until that time, subscribe. Thank you for those of you subscribing today that are forcing me to embarrass myself next show. But please come back and join us Friday when we are back on action. Until that time, thank you, BetRivers. Thank you, everyone.